All right, welcome to the warm-up. It is Thursday, and we're getting ready for some weekend action here in the Houston area. We got some doozies coming up this weekend, but Jeff, you've been out and about. Tell us your travels there, because you had a fun day on Monday, didn't you?
Yeah, I tell you what, between UIL Realignment, I actually went over to the Prairie View Interscholastic League Historic Center. I got a chance to swing by Wheatley High School to drop off a bobblehead for Jamie Solomon. Spent a little bit of time in HISD. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a wild week. We're going to get into the realignment a bit first, but we're going to start things off by going into not the realignment, but the lineup, and we're going to go into that right now. This Saturday, we got a huge rematch in HISD between two of the top 5 teams in 4A. We got Yates going up against Washington. That game ended unbelievably last time. We had a camera there for that. Tell us about this game and how much Yates wants to get their get back.
Yeah, well, 19-2 Yates, 12-1, just a game behind Washington, who's 13-0 in district. And of course, the Eagles are 23-6 overall. They do play Saturday. The Yates Lions are on a roll, having won 6 in a row since falling to Washington in that one-point thriller January 9th. Yeah, 67-66. What a game. That's the only loss in district play for Yates all season as the Lions sit a game behind Washington for first place. So this game will go a long way in determining the District 24A champion. Of course, Yates is still averaging around 20 points per contest. They've beaten Wheatley twice, who is currently in third place in the district race. Tyron Stokes, Jordan Smith, Cameron Williams, some of the players that have definitely been at the head of the class when it comes to Yates boys basketball. I think they're going to be up for the challenge. But you know what? Washington has won 10 in a row. 14 of their last 15. They're led by Braylon Pete, who averages 15 points per game, and he has 306 points for the season and 74 assists. The other big scorer, Larry Butler, 257 for the year. He averages about 14 points per game. And their power forward, Caden Barnes, averages 11 assists per contest and a double-double overall with 14 points and 12 rebounds per matchup for Washington. So I tell you what, to remain unbeaten in District 24A, they're going to have their hands full against Yates. Watch out also for Aaron Dixon. He's kind of a threat, 13 points per game. That's what I call balance overall for this team. A lot of guys around 13 to 14 points per game. This is definitely going to be a great rematch for both Washington and Yates. We'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker. If you remember the highlights last time, Yates took a 2-point lead with like 3 seconds left. Nope, they didn't call any timeout left, and Washington comes down, hits a 3 at the buzzer to win it. Otherwise, our boy Greg Wise would have 1,001 career victories instead of 1,000 because
no doubt.
He had that one taken from him. All right, let's go to 4A here, where as we learned in realignment, Crawford's not going to be in 4A much longer, so they're going to try to go for a state title this year. And they got a tough one with Stafford on their home court.
Yeah, District 21 4A battle, 24-6 Stafford, who's 8-1 in district play, facing a strong Fort Bend Crawford team that's 21-6 overall, 9-0 in district play. Now, Stafford averages 54 points per game. They've won 5 in a row, while Crawford has won 12 in a row and are averaging 67 points per contest. Roosevelt Hawkins is a fantastic scorer, and he is a senior who has thrived under head coach David Montagna. That offense and defense looking good. Of course, Stafford they've got a lot of history. You know, they reached the state Final Four back-to-back years. They've had some incredible seasons. I remember we did a story on them last year when they were undefeated. Of course, they lost to Crawford earlier this year, 62-53. These two teams, that was their first meeting. Alvin Mosley had a big game, 23 points for Crawford. He normally averages about 15 points per game. Jalen Singleton had 17 in that contest, which is 4 better than his average. Darian Boyd added 13 against Stafford. And Stafford is a game ahead of Royal and 2 games ahead of Freeman. So they need to kind of find a way to win this game. If not, they're going to be in a battle for that second, maybe even third playoff spot because those other 2 teams are really good. Freeman and Royal are the only 2 teams, by the way, that have truly tested Stafford this season. But none of them have been able to keep up with Crawford, who's gotten a lot of help from sophomores like Darian Boyd, Dylan Younger on the boards. Both are averaging 6 rebounds per contest, and Lakibas Hunt is also the third leading scorer. He is a threat off the bench. By the way, the last loss, listen to the score. Ward, Iowa Colony beat Crawford. This is a wake-up call by 29 points on December 15th, but Crawford has not lost since. So sometimes teams need to get kind of smacked in the jaw to wake up and realize where they're at.
Yeah, and I heard you just mention Alvin Mosley on the basketball court, somebody that you brought up to the next level for football. That begs the question, what does he don't do? I mean, he does everything. The guy's a crazy athlete. That'll be a good one. Yeah. All right, our last game we're going to talk about in the lineup is one where Marque can wrap up their district title here with a win over second-place Brazosport. And as you're going to tell us in the story later on this year, they're not only winning, they're twinning. Give me some more on this game.
Hey, Brazosport's 21-8, 8-1 in district play. Their one loss came to Marque, who's 31-1 overall going into Tuesday. Now, Brazosport, they've won 8 of their last 9 games. They've been one of those sneaky good teams. They've definitely been kind of the one team that Marque has had to keep an eye on. Marque beat Brazosport in overtime by 9 points earlier this season on January 13th, 66-57. But the fact that game went to OT speaks volumes. I do think that Marque has been battle-tested. A lot of close games this year. They've had 3 games go into overtime. Brendan Harris and Malcolm McNair each scored 22 points in that last meeting between these two teams. Brandon Harris added 11. So Brendan and Brandon Harris are each averaging 60% per game. And I know I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. 3 sets of senior twins on this Marque team. That feature coming up Saturday at 11 p.m. on KHOU CBS TV Channel 11 here in Houston. But just amazing. Have you ever heard of that before? 3 sets of senior twins?
Not in this sport, no.
That is crazy. And by the way, Jacarius Oliver and McNair averaging about 14 points per game for Marque. So it's not all about the twins, but Oliver also a big rebounder with 258 this season. But I tell you what, out of 15 players, to think that 6 of them are twins is just beyond me.
That's wild. I just now realized we gave you a bunch on 4A this week. I hope you guys are ready for some 4A. And that's because Houston's got top I believe out of the top 10, they got 5 or 6 teams in the 4A top 10 in the state. So we're doing quite well in that classification.
Especially HISD.
Absolutely. All right. I mentioned that Jeff was at Realignment this week. He was at the Berry Center, or close to the Berry Center, I should say, wherever the 4A, or the Region 4 headquarters are. You talked to a bunch of coaches and you found out the new districts and all that stuff. Instead of having one coach that we're going to talk to, we'll put together a couple of sound bites from a bunch of coaches telling us how they felt about Realignment in our Media Day segment.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer and test drive our award-winning vehicles. Serving up the best treats and eats in Texas. Stop by DQ and treat yourself before and after the game.
Well, of course, UIL Realignment happens every 2 years. And, of course, this is a big day for coaches, athletic directors to find out who they're going to play in their non-district schedule, as well as maybe even changes in their own district. 2 of the big movers and shakers this year were Barbers Hill and Crosby. Let's begin with them as they moved up to Class 6A from 5A.
Oh, a little surprised, a little shocked with this one, but excited for the new challenges. Now, you still got Summer Creek, you got all the Humble schools, Tascasita and North Shore right there. We're ready for the challenges, looking forward to it.
Good, interesting team to play, to join our district, and it's kind of good to be still in that district because we got a lot of good talent.
Our district is all the Clear Creek schools, Clear Brook, Clear Springs, Clear Lake, Dickinson, Deer Park, so it's going to be pretty challenging. It's a good day. It's always a good day.
There wasn't a single projection that had us going with Cy-Fair School, so we're excited about it. Whoever comes out of this district is going to be prepared for the playoffs, so that's what makes us the most excited.
Added Fulshire, George Ranch, and Richmond Foster. I mean, it's going to be a talented district. I like the change of scenery.
I don't think any of us saw us moving kind of that much west, and we're also moving from Region 2 to 3. A lot of change today.
Our 6As have an opportunity to play with some other teams in that district. It's going to be very, very competitive. Most of our 5As are together, but we do have a few outside districts coming in as well. And then our 4As are split. So I'm really excited. It's been a great day, and just looking forward to the upcoming season.
We're dropping down from 6A to 5A Division 1. We got to travel to Lufkin, Beaumont, Port Arthur, Galveston. We're going to put a lot of miles on our buses, that's for sure.
It's going to be different for us. Bay City, El Campo, Navasota, Needville, Royal, Sealy, and West Columbia. So It's going to be a very competitive district.
Another UIL realignment in the books. We're set now till 2028. That's a look now through the greater Houston area.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer and test drive our award-winning vehicles. Parker University. Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today.
All right, there you have it, kind of a recap there of realignment. We're going to have even more of that on the show this Saturday night, 11 o'clock, KHOU 11. But let's get into the agenda that's brought to you by Allegro.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer and test drive our award-winning vehicles.
Chevrolet's Inside High School Sports is brought to you by Allegro Marinade. Whether you're the family chef, a backyard barbecuer, or a jerky-making genius, maximize flavor and tenderness with Allegro Marinades.
And now, last week I mentioned how Jeff has been around and seen a bunch of basketball this year down in the Houston area. He mentioned a couple of players that has caught his eye. He had a couple more in his bag that he wanted to bring out this week. Talk about a few more guys that you've seen that kind of impressed you.
Yeah, well, you know what? We kind of talked about HISD. Let's start there. Eric EJ Beard, he goes by EJ. You know, he's having a great season. He's only a sophomore, an incredible shooter. Heights, by the way, is 23-5. They've won 16 in a row. They've been the talk around H-Town in addition to, your Yates and Washingtons and Wheatley schools and HISD. But EJ has kind of been that one player that maybe has risen to the top. And again, only a sophomore, leads the team with 22.5 points per game, 3 assists per contest. Other key contributors on that team for Houston Heights has been Jamison Bailey, Eric Edwabora. I tell you what, the one thing that kind of stands out for the Bulldogs is the fact that not only are they getting the consistent guard play, but all 3 of those guys I just mentioned are sophomores. So that just tells me that they're going to be good for a while. They got high shooting percentages. They play a fast-paced style. So keep an eye out for Heights, as they maybe get into the postseason here. Well, it'll be interesting to see how things kind of shake out, especially as competition gets even tougher.
Any other players you want to talk about while we're discussing?
I think so. Junior Tyson Forrest over at College Park, another kid who's not a senior, averaging 32 points per game. A few of my buddies actually asked about him last week and were like, hey, who's this kid for College Park averaging over 30 a game? Is that like a misprint? And I thought it was. I had to look it up, and no. We've talked about him on the next level. He's definitely been a sharp shooter, leads that team offensively. He and his teammate Jaden Heidelberger, who's about 24 points per game, that's a good 1-2 punch right there. In fact, Tyson scored 43 against Grand Oaks back on December 16th. He's 6 foot, 180-pound junior, great shooting, great ball handling ability. He can defend the court as well. I do think that College Park, they need that third guy, you know what I mean? Because right now they're in third place in that district, and you want to be 1 or 2 at least as far as getting in that upper echelon of high school playoff teams.
Absolutely. And then we'll talk a little football because we had a nice signing last week out of Klein ISD. Talk about that because it's one of the athletes we've had our eyes on for a while, and he's still got 2 more years left.
Yeah, Klein Oak running back Micah Rhodes. I got to see him earlier this year. He did commit to Oklahoma. I love the way he runs the football. He's strong, powerful, very shifty. Also can catch the ball out of the backfield. He'll go out for a pass occasionally. They'll even put him in the shotgun here or there. He's that prototypical kind of OU player, if you will. I feel like Oklahoma's really good about getting guys with speed who can, get out there and make a man miss. He's got some really good moves, can play multiple positions. But I look for him to be a running back for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah, a couple colleges missed out, but I said sign, I meant commit because we still got 2 years to change his mind if somebody else wanted to.
That is true.
But right now he's looking at OU.
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it for this week. I appreciate you guys joining the warm-up here and getting yourself warmed up for some basketball action this weekend. We're going to leave you now with our 6A girls rankings in the Houston area, see who we think are the top 5 teams in girls soccer. Until next week, Jeff, I will see you later.
That's good.